and let's review all of the order. Let's go with the order. How about that? Well, so that's kind of what I was thinking. We just sort of go through all the lists here, right, from the Northern Waste GT that's coming up this weekend, and we look
Yeah.
at all the order lists, and then we can do I don't know, chaos, or we can do death, right? Maybe death is better to do, th- regardless. But with me, I have Blaed and Leonard. Thanks for taking the time, guys, to do this with me tonight. I appreciate it,
Yeah, happy to.
because I
Yeah, it's
do
gonna
not
be
know
fun.
these armies very well. Okay, Idoneth Deepkin. Their order, right?
They are. Yeah. So, I wanted to kind of start by, because I went through all the order lists a little more closely than some of the other ones. I think that like the breakdown of order is really interesting.
Okay.
You have like a huge showing of Sylvaneth at this tournament. There's more Sylvaneth here than there is Seraphon. And the lists that are all like, because there are 6 lists that are each singles. There's a cities list, a KO player, Fire Slayers, Idoneth is in there. All those lists are kind of split into like a mix of shooting castles and just kind of like melee rally blenders, like Daughters and Fire Slayers. Um, Idoneth is like one of the armies at this tournament that I think like they're playing a very mixed list. Volturnos, Soul Render, a Tidecaster General. They got a couple of Sharks and a Leviathan and 6 Eels and some Thralls. They're kind of mixing everything in there. I think they're going to kind of play as a flanking list,
So
but
how?
I'm not sure.
So the real question is, how does Big Wa beat this? Or like what? Like, 'cause those are kind of my questions, right? It's like what are the linchpins of this army? What what do I have that's going to be able to counter their threats and so on, right?
So the big trick of this Idoneth list is that they're taking the command trait that allows them to reverse the tides order if they want to. So they're aiming for either a big turn 3 or a big turn 4, maybe, depending on if they're gonna, or maybe no, turn 2 and then turn 3 if they reverse it. Yeah, they're really aiming to hit you as hard as they can with run and charge on turn 2 and then get fight first right after it on turn 3. So you want to avoid fighting them under high tide, but this army is going to be very melee straight up.
Sounds like I should have a pretty good advantage against them then.
Well, I mean, if they flip the tide, you're going to be engaging them in high tide right at the time that your buffs start to turn up. So
Yes.
if you're not careful about like keeping them back a little bit, they're gonna be strike first on their whole army before you are like up to snuff on your combat profiles. And you're
Right.
gonna have a hard time breaking them before that because the Leviathan's gonna create like a little brick, a defensible brick that's gonna be hard to crack, unless you get like some cheeky Hoarfrosts off or some good mortal wounds. So I would think, you want to look for like specific engagements to try and like set up that are going to help you turn the tide. And I think getting the Wurgog into the Leviathan would do a lot of work for you if you can like kind of set that up. And you're gonna have to sack probably 1 or 2 Ard boys just to like keeping them back, and then making sure the eels don't fly back into your little hero castle.
Right.
Yeah, those eels are surprisingly fighty. They're also really hard to kill. I agree with that idea of trying to trade for the Leviathan. I think that there are going to be a lot of lists at this tournament where you kind of want to be aggressive with the Wurgog.
I generally am aggressive with my Wurgog. I like marching him up the table. He did work for me today.
What did you play against today?
Stormcast list. I lifted with the Wurgog on turn 2 a unit of 5 Vindictors, and then the turn after that I killed like 13 wounds worth of Storm Drake guard and lifted like 2 Storm Drakes off the table. So he did awesome. Yeah. Right, killed a monster. That's what I'm hearing you guys say. Killed a big thing. Killed a big thing. Survive
monster.
alpha striking. Watch the tides.
If you can snipe Volturnos out, that would be nice. He's gonna be able to give +1 attack in an aura to multiple units.
Okay. Cool. Yeah, I kind of want to run through a bunch of these lists too. So that sounds pretty good. How about this KO list?
This KO list is pretty spicy. They have Ironclad and Frigate. They're really cutting it light on the heroes in this list. They're just running an Admiral and a Chemist. They got 2 Min Rex a company, and they're just going to hold objectives with that. But they have 15 Thunderers and 2 boats. And they have the Nullstone icon and an artifact that allows them to ignore ward saves once per game. So they can kind of pull up to anything and just delete it with those Thunderers.
So zone them out real good.
Yeah, they're gonna have a 9-inch teleport. They're not taking the Soul Scream Bridge or the Spell in a Bottle or anything like that. So you're just gonna have to worry about the Fly High. But they have, I would say, I mean, they can reach you from I think 18 inches with the Aether Cannons.
Right.
But you know, expect most of their guns to be about 12-inch range and try to stay as far away from that as you can.
So I have to think about look out, sir, plus 12 inches is what I need. But I'm not going to be able to get that.
You're going to just need to use units to screen a little further than you might against other armies, because they're going to not just be a teleporting threat, but like a shooting teleporting threat.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've played against KO a few times. I kind of get how they're just like, oh, we're going to like drop over here and shoot you, and then drop over there and shoot you, and just be generally pretty annoying.
They are going to be generally pretty annoying with that. This list, the weakness that KO usually has is that it doesn't have a lot of staying power. They don't have a lot of heroes here either. So if you can lift one of the boats, especially the Ironclad early, that's going to be a really good way to just kind of stop them from being able to move. And I think that the Wargog is going to be good. If you can trade the Wargog for the Ironclad, do it.
Just keep shooting the bow at it too.
Keep shooting the bow at it, because they have no way to deal with mortal wounds. This army just doesn't have any ward saves really anywhere.
And you got to do it in like kind of a quick go, because the Endrin Riggers they heal it up every hero phase.
Right.
I remember right.
What I'm hearing you say is at the big ship, throw Mega Boss with Destroyer at it.
That's tough though. You give him Rend.
Yeah, it can get Unleash Held by the Thunderers inside as well. So you do want to be careful with that.
So Mighty Destroyer, charge. Mighty Destroyer, 8 on the dice, charge it.
Or just charge Ardboys into it. Charging it, just like sacrificial unit of Ardboys before you charge that. Or if the Thunderers are off on their own, throw some Ardboys in it, and then you get your Brutes or your Pigs in there they can no longer be Unleashed Hell. Like that's gonna help a lot, help that unit survive.
It kind of looks like the setup that this person is most likely running is that they're gonna play like the Admiral, 6 Riggers, and 15 Thunderers in the Ironclad, and then they're gonna have like 1 frigate flying around with company and a chemist, and then have some company on foot. So you're gonna want to try to hit the Ironclad as hard as possible.
I'm hoping that they let me go second, and they make a deployment mistake and leave the Ironclad in a spot that I can get it.
They will most likely try to make you go first. They're gonna, it does depend on the battle plan, but one thing I did want to kind of mention is that like a lot of these battle plans are long table edge deployments. So it's going to be like easier to get into your opponent's face quickly.
Yep.
In a lot of these scenarios.
Yeah, especially with
KO
the Fast and Maw Crusher, right?
KO might have a hard time actually staying away from you in the early game if you can get like Pigs and a Maw Crusher in really fast and have the Pigs eat Unleash Hell and then kill the boat with the Maw Crusher. You might like win the game really early.
Yep, that's the idea.
You just got to look for those kinds of deployment mistakes, but if they don't make a deployment mistake, don't try to force the play.
Cool. Sounds good. What do we got next? Sylvaneth, Brian Waters.
Which one is this? I have them just broken down under the
this
subfactions.
Is
did they use Battlescribe to make this? Shame.
Here, Leonard, what I can do is I can also stream it on Discord.
Yeah, I was wondering about that. And I can have your list up on the other side.
Because I prepared like a document with some of my notes on all the lists I looked at.
What a guy.
Not in the call.
All right. It looks like we're in the infinite hallway.
Oh,
Yeah.
why is it doing that? Sorry. Oh, that's why. Oops.
Yeah, you want to screen share, not stream, right? Is that what you're doing?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's better.
Let me see which one this is. Oh, this is the Drycha list. Yeah, so there are 5 Sylvaneth lists at this event. There are 2 Oakenbrow lists, 2 Heartwood lists, and a Gnarlroot list. This is one of the Heartwood lists. This list is kind of scary. It is 2 drops. So they're going to have really strong drop control. Drycha with Hoarfrost is really scary. You can get Ren 3 on a guaranteed 20 attacks in melee.
Jeez.
And yeah, and you can hit on 2s. Drycha can kind of delete stuff, so you definitely want to respect that. Another thing to remember about Sylvaneth is that this faction is generally very weak to mortal wounds. The only ward saves they have come from the Lady of Vines. There's only one list playing Lady of Vines.
I'm not really pumping out very many mortals, really.
True,
Right?
but
Urgog, maybe Killbow.
Yeah, Wargog and Killbow. But, you know, when you do need to put out mortal wounds into something and kill it quickly with the Wargog, it's, like, good to know that against Sylvaneth, they're not going to have really anything to say when you decide to stare at something.
On that note, don't underrate the Stomp from the Maw Crusher, getting the extra 3 damage. Yep. So you're doing D3 plus 3. That's like a really, on a 2-up, it's a very reliable source of mortal wounds for some things like Kurnoth Hunters, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's really reliable. Also, another thing to keep in mind anytime you're playing Sylvaneth in general is that those tree wards have that fight last monstrous action where they can stomp you and make you fight last on a 3+. All the Durthus do that. The regular tree wards do that. The tree ward ancients do that. So you'll want to be careful with charges against them. One of the Oakenbrow lists in particular is just like 3 tree wards, 2 Durthus, just a ton of them. So they're going to make it like hard for you to fight them.
Okay.
I think Gobsprak's going to do work in that matchup.
He's going to do work in all these matchups because all of these lists, all 5 of the Sylvaneth lists have 2 things in common. They're all running Spellcasting Savant as their grand strat, and they're all running a Warsong Revenant General.
Yeah.
So
I like that.
In those matchups, you're going to want to try to kill that Warsong Revenant as quickly as possible. That's like one of the big weak spots for Sylvaneth, because that's like half their casting strength. It makes trees for them. It's just like a lot of the range and utility of the list. So if you can deny it, it's going to limit their reach and their casting power a lot.
Throw pigs at it, counterspell it.
Yeah, because that's the other thing about Sylvaneth too. Most of the, I mean, you've played against it before, right? Most of these lists are very strike and fade. So when you actually get into the castle, it's not that durable. So you want to try to get across the table as quickly as possible, and also pray that you don't draw Sylvaneth on limited resources, because that's just like a huge pain in the ass.
So I'm hearing like turn 1, 3 units Mighty Destroyer moving forward, including at least 1 unit of pigs, but maybe 2.
Yeah.
Lots of good zoning out, right, from the stupid strike and fade nonsense, and try to get into their castle. So I feel like against Sylvaneth, I'm hearing that I should play more aggressively. I just need to be careful for strike last effects.
Yep.
I mean, he's only got 3 hunters, so his range present isn't that big. So you might be able to bank a turn, right? Just get your pigs out there and your Ardboys out there to get yourself that little bit of WA points, because you're going to want your bonuses when you get into the Kurnoth and into the Tree Lord and
One
stuff.
thing I'm finding with my list, because I'm so Iron Jaws heavy, that if I play aggressively, like all of a sudden I'll have all my bonuses.
Yep.
Right. It's like, you know,
That's fair.
for doing nothing, I get 2d6 plus 6 wall points in 2 turns. Right? 2d6 plus
You've got
6.
enough MSU to get
Yeah.
points off the charges stacked up pretty quickly.
Yeah, so
Yep.
2d6 plus 6, let's call it 7. Right? So I'm at 13, and so I'm looking for what, like 18? I think 18. Or is it 20?
I think it's 20.
I think
And
it's 20. Yeah.
16 is when the +1 to hit kicks in, right?
Right, so 16 turn 2 with a few charges is not super tough, especially if you're using Here We Go, and then if you just get like if you spike with your wall points, the whole game kind of changes, right? Like
Yep.
it's, to be honest, it's when they remake the wall point, if they decide to keep the same mechanics in the new book, I hope it's a D3 plus 3, so it's more consistent, because rolling a 1 blows. Okay. Good.
Yep. So yeah, that's that list. None of these lists are really playing a lot of bows. None of the Sylvaneth lists have a whole lot of ranged reach outside of a little bit of magic. It's a ton of melee stuff.
Here's a Croak list.
Yes, that is the.
Looks to me like Croak bomb attempt.
It is. Yeah, I'm trying to remember if this is the good Death Star or the altered Death Star. This is the altered Death Star, I think. Yeah, this is the one with the Terror Wings. This list is pretty strong. It's 5 drops, spellcasting savant. They've got the Slan with the normal loadout, and Croak, a Trog with the Sacred Stegodon helm. I've been seeing that pretty common in Seraphon. And then it's just got 2 Raxosaurus Guard instead of 1, so they've got a lot of ablative wounds for those Slans. And they're just going to teleport some Hunters of Quantry and Terror Wings onto an objective, and they're going to play a summoning, like, very KG kind of castle game. But they have 5 leaders instead of 6, so they're a little short on some of the summoning points.
So I'm gonna hope that I can get some unbinds here.
You're going to need to get Gobsprak into a position to unbind the right spells, because they are limited in the amount of times they can cast Croak spell or the Slan spell through the Trog, but a lot of people are just kind of teleporting Croak forward now.
Yeah, I mean, that's how
so
he
you-
should be played. Right?
So you want to make sure they can't put him in a spot where they can just Nova all of your War Chanters or something. You're going to have to, like, play very spacing minded.
So keep Croak back.
I mean, just make sure that there's a lot of space between wherever your front line is and wherever the War Chanters are.
That'll help
So-
a lot with the Maelstrom too.
Yep.
So I'm hearing you say pin this list.
I mean, yeah, pinning does work against this list. So some of the thoughts I had is that, like, this army really lacks starting strength. It's probably the most grindy army in the game in terms of, like, the value it accrues over time, because its summoning is so insane.
Yeah.
But if you take the space early to crowd out where they can summon and then to try to pin them into a corner or against the wall, early game's the best spot to do that. So honestly, I think if you try to play too slow against them, you're going to lose. I think you have to go for the, like, kind of stuff you were just talking about. Try to generate a lot of WA points early, make a lot of charges, and hope that if you roll high enough that you can kind of steal the game.
Right, grind them out before they grind me out.
Yeah, you have to try to flatten them before they can get their value machine rolling. Because if they start summoning, you just can't match the amount of points they're going to put on the table.
Correct. And so I'd say taking out the Slan is probably the, like...
Oh, if you can kill the General, absolutely. General
Yeah.
and Croak are the 2 big priority targets. Killabo is a great Croak killer. He has 18 wounds.
Yeah.
So even if you only deal 8 or 9 damage with the bow, you know, that's like a 50% chance that he's gonna just die because he doesn't roll it.
Yep. I can see that.
So yeah, you can put a lot of pressure on him with the Killabo, so you kind of want to make sure it's not in a spot where it's going to get mortal wounded easy, because it doesn't have that many wounds.
It's a good teleport target.
It is, yeah. The thing that's annoying about this, though, is that all of the Seraphon lists at this tournament, except for the Coalesced list, outdrop you. So they're going to have control over the first turn.
Yep, I'm kind of prepared to never choose. I'm kind of prepared to go first every time.
Luckily, you'll get to choose against the Kotal's Claw player, because that's going to be like a mirror match across factions. He's playing a really techy movement, like Seraphon Ironjaw's impression kind of list. He has the command trait. I don't remember his name, but it's next to another Seraphon list. Right there, Jesse Day.
Oh yeah, I've played Jesse. I know his list.
Yeah, he's got the Saurus Old Blood on Carnosaur with Vengeful Defender, so he can do the hero phase move. You've both got hero phase moves. He's got -1 damage, which really sucks in that matchup, because that's like
really
your whole
sucks.
thing. And then, yeah, I mean, he doesn't have the summoning, obviously, but you're both going to be doing a lot of movement shenanigans, trying to space each other out. He'll try to make your Mighty Destroyers moves harder. And I mean, his list is just like a lot of meat. It's a lot of wounds. He's got 6 Croxagore, 6 Agrodon Lancers, 2 Spawns of Chotek.
So why don't we? There's like you said, there's a lot of like repeats in here.
Yeah.
So there's like one Daughter of Cain list that I saw.
Yep.
I see
that
it.
list is interesting.
Yeah. Okay. Hold on. Let's talk about. Let's break them into their factions.
Okay.
So why don't we talk about the Sylvaneth lists as a group, like just all of them.
Yep.
So for what
all
we have
5 of them.
left, there's 4 left. Yeah. Sorry. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, they all have the same grand strat. They all have the Warsong Rev General, and they are all very low drops. The big commonality here is that we have a lot of Durthus and a lot of Tree Lords, even outside of Oakenbrow. A couple of people running just like the Behemoth role Tree Lord. Tree Lord Ancients showing up a lot. So there's going to be a decent amount of like monsters. These lists are pretty melee focused. There's a good amount of Kurnoth Hunters with scythes. There's one guy running 6 swords. I'm a big fan of 6 swords. The Gnarroot list, I think, is like the one that you want to draw.
You think it's the weakest one?
I think it's the weakest list here among the Sylvaneth lists for sure. I like a lot of the things that it's running, but it doesn't have a lot of material. Nothing in it hits particularly hard other than Durthu. 3x5 tree revs is a lot of mobility, though. So this list is going to be teleporting all over the place, taking objectives. But other than that, it's 3 Kurnoth Hunters with bows, 3 Spite Rider Lancers, the Hive, and then 5 leaders. So it doesn't have that much material to actually hold stuff.
Right, and I do.
Yes, you have a lot of orc material. You're taking a ton of MSU stuff.
Did that one have Gotrek?
No, that's one of the Oakenbrow lists. There are 2 Oakenbrow lists. There's double Durthu, and there's Durthu plus Gotrek.
I hate Durthu.
The double Durthu list has 2 Durthus with no artifacts, the Lady of Vines, and a Warsong Revenant, and 3 Tree Lords.
What do you do against Durthu?
Block him.
You block him. Yeah.
So let him kill something else?
Yeah, or you hit him with Unleash Hell if you got that. Or, I mean, your army is going to be blocking him. You're going to throw your 5 Ardboys into him and say, eat that. Because
I feel like he brackets kind of hard too. So if you get a good charge into him with like your brutes, right? You can get your brutes into him early because they automatically get the +1 to hit because he's a monster, or because he has a high enough wounds characteristic. Yeah. Or if you can sneak a set of Ardboys into him or something like that, and just get multiple units. That way he can't stomp them to do, because he has the fight last stomp, right?
Yep. But the thing you have to keep in mind is that if you're playing against one of the Oakenbrow lists and not the Heartwood lists, they don't bracket nearly as fast. Durthu brackets in like his first 4 wounds, but if he's in Oakenbrow, they don't. You always have the number of wounds that they've suffered to determine what bracket they're in, so he can take like a lot more damage.
Okay.
The Durthu list, I mean, the way that you deal with it is that they can only strike and fade once per turn with 1 unit. So the big weakness for them is they can do the guerrilla tactics, but if you have a lot of places that they need to be all at once, they kind of have to pick one.
I'm also hearing you say play aggressively against Sylvaneth as well.
Yeah, Sylvaneth and Seraphon are both matchups that you want to take space really aggressively and force them to play perfect, basically.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, good. I like that. I'm gonna lose to both of them. to all,
Well,
all those
so
things.
With Gotrek, just make sure you nasty hex him, and he'll just like fall over.
Yeah, Gotrek. I know how to deal with. I know how to deal with Gotrek.
Okay.
I know how
Yeah.
to deal with Gotrek. You just have to hammer him with nasty hex. Yeah, that's
And
how
then-
you get him.
I mean, the
Wargog.
Heartwood,
Yeah.
the Heartwood lists I don't think are too complicated. There's just some Kurnoth hunters going on there. You've seen me use those before.
Yep.
One of the lists has Drycha in it, and Drycha's scary, so be scared of Drycha.
Yeah, I looked her up, so I know what she looks like.
Yeah, the big bee colony, that one.
Yep.
Yeah, Seraphon.
Yeah, so I mean, I know Seraphon super well, and it looks like there's another Croak list. So I think that's the idea. Is I just want to play really aggressive into Croak, but then there's, let's see, Fangs of
There's one
Sotek
list with
Lick.
There's one Fangs of Sotek list with no Croak that I think
Yeah,
is kind of
this
interesting.
is it here. So it's Orc Troglodon, Slan, Astrolith Bear, Starseer, 10 times Skinks, 10 times Skinks, 5 times Saurus Guard, a Bastiladon with the Arc of Sotek, and then a couple of endless spells. Oh, and then 6 Croxagore, and then Huanchi with Dart Pipes times 2.
Yep.
All right.
Yeah, 10 hunters with dart pipes. This list is interesting. They're going to block with the Arcus Sotek because it has a 2-up save and it's cheap. And they're going to try to counter-strike whatever you charge with 6 Croxagore. I called this list when I was making notes for it the Battle Trog list because they're
Yeah.
playing Tepok's Beneficence to give the Trog -1 to wound for attacks against it. So it's going to be like -1 to hit, -1 to wound, probably Mystic Shielded, maybe
Yeah.
Slan Commanded.
But to be
it's going to
honest,
be really hard.
I feel better playing against Starborn than I do against Coalesced with my army. Like losing that
I agree.
that 1 damage hurts, right? Because
Yeah.
it essentially it shuts. I have 2 Violent Furies, and all that they do against Coalesced is keep the Ard boys from losing their -1 damage. That's it.
Yeah.
Or no, sorry, the Brutes. All right,
Right,
all that
yeah.
it does is by using this resource, I'm protecting some of my 2 damage stuff. So it's suddenly my army tickles.
Yeah,
Right.
you do a lot less damage, and the way your army is balanced for points and bodies is kind of based on the amount of damage that you do.
Yep.
So they really take away a big strength of yours. I agree, and I think that at least into the Fangs lists that are here, you have that, like, you have a line. You can play that really early aggressive game and hope that in the first 2 turns you've been able to break their castle open and make it hard for
Yeah.
them to summon.
Well, I think my plan for playing against these lists is going to be turn 1 triple mighty destroyers, 2 units of pigs, and a mega boss forward.
I agree. Yeah.
Right, and just be like, here we go. Right, like
Because they also have nothing to say to charges. They don't have Unleash Hell at all
Right.
in this army. You just hit them.
right. So I'm just gonna come up the middle. Right, everything's gonna get all buffed up, nice. Right, throw everything in, and try to just wait for a good destroyer target. Yeah. Okay. Seraphon's good. That's how you beat Seraphon. You just
What do
lose.
you think about these Stormcast lists? There are 3 Stormcast lists before the rest of the individual little
Okay.
singleton lists.
Hammers of Sigmar, Hammers of Sigmar,
yeah.
Hammers of Sigmar.
Yeah.
Stormkeep.
One Stormkeep player. Yeah, that guy's in. He's also not taking Call to Aid. He's taking Steadfast March.
So this is just bad.
Yeah.
I looked at this. So like I know Stormcast super well. A knighting.
Like Bastion.
The only thing I like, but Bastion's not good. Bastion's not a bad model, but Bastion is too many points for what he brings on the table. He's slow. He's slow, right? He's a foot hero that he hits pretty hard, right, when he does get in, but he just marches across the table with his 5 movement speed,
Yeah.
right? And it's,
I looked at this list and I was like, oh, we got a bunch of foot heroes. I kind of like that. Like, we're taking double Knight Incanter. This stuff looks good. We have the Translocation Knight Relictor. And then I kind of had like a question mark moment when I saw 10 Vanquishers, 10 Vindictors. I was like, I never see Vindictors taken in 10s. That's like really interesting. But
They're the only ones that are good to take in 10s.
are they?
Yeah, because they have a 2-inch reach. They can fight naturally in 2 ranks.
Okay.
Vanquishers can't, so this should be, I mean, I don't know what he's... Wizard Finders?
Wizard Finders, Acolyte. It's a 10-drop list. You're going to outdrop this list as well. And they're Stormhost, like we said, so...
But that's...
Or Stormkeep.
I don't even know what that means. So they don't get the best ability from... You know what? It's a bad list. Like, I'm at, like... Anyone in the comments or whatever, like, perhaps I'm just ignorant, but I look at that list and I just think it's a bad list. Like, I just think it's bad. It's like you're not even gonna Thunderstrike half the army in. You're gonna put 4 Fulminators on the table, and I'm gonna look at you and be like, oh, like, okay, like, they're never charging me. Like, I'm gonna move around and like I know that they hit like crazy. I'm just gonna I'm gonna kill them, right? Like, don't even worry about it.
Yeah, I'm gonna stay away from them until a Wargog Prophet can kill them.
Well, I'm just gonna time it out. Right, it's like, okay, you're there and you're gonna move this far, and then so what's the charge, and that's fine. So I'll just stay over here, and then a moment will come where I'll jump on them.
Maybe they'll eat a screen, and then you'll jump on them.
Yeah.
So then the other 2 lists we got are a list with Karazai and 6 Evocators, and 2 Ward Arcanums on Griff Chargers.
Yep. So
that one looks kind of scary.
It's basically a heal Karazai. Stormstrike Chariot. Okay, so he's got like a Storm Drake or a Stormstrike Chariot, which is really good, and 6 Evocators on Dracolines, which are really strong. 2 Fulminators, so that's good. Sequitors, Lord Arcanum on Griff Charger. So it looks like he's just going to stand there and heal Griff Feather Charm.
Yeah, I also put a note in here. I was like, this has to be a mistake. It must just be a leftover from a previous list in Battlescribe or something.
Something's not right, but we'll just ignore that. There's a Luckstone over here, and I don't see...
Yeah, and I don't see a War. Or no, he does have Command Entourage Magnificent, actually. But I think he's taking... Oh, no, I wonder what that is.
Anyway. Karazai's scary.
Yes, both of the dragons are terrifying, honestly.
So I think in this list, like, I don't think that you can just hammer away at Karazai. I think you can use the kill bow on Karazai every turn, and you can just sit there and hit him with that, because it'll do it like it, But I think what you got to do in this list is you have to keep Karazai tied up long enough where you can kill the Lord Arcanums.
Yeah, you got to kill the support so they can't heal him.
Yeah, and then after that, like the Sequitors, the 2 Sequitors or whatever, that's fine. I'll pretty much ignore them, I think, and then you just have to be careful with the rest of them. Like, to fight against Stormcast, you just have to zone everything out super well.
Yeah.
But he's not running a Lord Imperatant, so there's no 7-inch charge anywhere, so...
The other list isn't playing a Ward Imperatant either. The other list is a Knight Draconis, 1 Ward Arcanum on Griff Charger, some Stormdrake Guard, Evocators, and Long Strikes.
I played this list today.
Okay.
The only really scary thing is the Vanguard Raptors with Long Strikes.
They're terrifying.
But it's a reinforced unit, right? So there's 6 of them, and whatever they point, and they have a 30-inch range. Whatever they point at dies. On turn 1, I teleported pigs behind them, and then I tried to do a 9-inch charge in the hero phase and failed. And that was, for me, if I had succeeded that, I would have won. I think, because I would have got rid of that unit or had them tied up long enough. But I didn't. But I knew that's what I had to do.
This list is nasty.
It's nasty. It's quite elite. It's quite elite.
It's very low wound count. Yeah.
Yeah.
But great save characteristics.
But to kill Stormcast, you just got to zone them out. You have to give them bad, Thunderstrike deployments, right? So stuff that they don't like, places they don't want to be. Cramped up behind terrain, so you just have to keep your zone, you have to pay super close attention to what you're zoning out and where. And then kill the Lord Arcanums. I think that's what it's going to be. Kill the Lord Arcanums and kill you just gotta focus fire, right? You gotta pick your pick your targets and make sure that you like are removing their units off the table, like kind of one at a time.
Yeah,
Right.
in the order that your opponent is trying to use them.
Yeah. So it's like, yeah. So like when I played today, it's like I Mega Boss destroyered into the 6 Dracolines or evocators on whatever, and I got like 5 of the 6 models and half of the last one.
Mm-hmm.
So it's that, right? It's like I'm gonna get you and get rid of your unit, right? And then like I'm gonna focus my attention on the next one and get rid of that unit. But if
Yeah.
you're spreading out your damage too much, you're not gonna lift anything, and you're just gonna be eating everything all day. Right? I guess that's how you just deal with elite armies in general.
I think so. Yeah.
Okay, so we got Cities, Fire Slayer, Lumineth, and Daughters of Cain. Which one do you want to start with?
Let's just get the cities list out of the way because I don't really know what this person is going for, but I guess it's kind of interesting. They have a whole bunch of foot heroes, 2 Warden Kings, 2 Cogsmiths, and a Sorceress. They have a bunch of Iron Drakes, which are the shooty dwarves on foot, with the good saves, and then 10 Iron Breakers, which are the melee version, and they're just taking a bunch of Greywater Fastness stuff. They got a Steam Tank, they got a Hellblaster Volley Gun, they got a bunch of helicopters. 5 gyro bombers and 2 gyrocopters.
The 30 Iron Drakes can do a lot.
They can, yeah.
Especially because you get 3 torpedoes, right? It's not one unit, and you can Soul Scream bridge them around, and they get the extra attacks.
Yeah, that's what they're going to be doing. It's going to be like a little teleporting shooting castle.
Are you familiar with how that works, Moss?
Yes.
Okay. So, I mean, if you can stop the bridge, that'll cripple them a lot, right? If you can get Gobsprack to do that, or something like that.
Yeah, they also only have 1 wizard, so that's going to make your job pretty easy. Just kill the sorceress. The Warden King, the dwarves don't do magic, so it's just the sorceress, and she has no ward save and is very easy to kill.
How many wounds is she, do you think?
I think she's 5?
Okay.
Maybe 4, because she's a human? Let me check.
The king has an arcane tome, too. The second Warden King.
Yeah, one of the Warden Kings does have an arcane tome, but that's, what, 2 casts total?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think they're mostly there for... Let's see, the one has Merciless Blizzard just to, like, punch back or sacrifice itself. And then I imagine the Warden King is there for, like, Mystic Shield on either Iron Breakers or Iron Drakes, and then also to help crunch out the bridge.
Yep.
Okay, so get rid of their casters. Is this the kind of army where I want to really just get rid of their heroes, or do I want to get rid of their Iron Breakers and Iron Drakes? Or is it heroes? Is it the gyros, or is it the dwarves that I'm worried about here?
I
wouldn't worry about the gyros too much. They're going to be out getting objectives, and like that if you face them on a high objective count mission, but their damage isn't too crazy.
Yeah. They'll do some mortal wounds here or there with the gyro bombers. The gyrocopters don't have that great a shooting or anything. You can, for the most part, ignore them. I think that killing the heroes is really good in this list, but I mean every bit of their battle line stuff that you can lift, the better. Because the Hellblaster Volley Gun doesn't really have that much output. Steam Tanks are incredibly swingy. They're just like, they don't usually do good damage at all. But without the heroes, the army doesn't have the ability to hand out lots of the buffs. Like the Iron Drakes are best when they're getting buffs.
Okay. So get rid of their casters and then try to pick off their... I mean, what I'm hearing is they're going to be very mobile.
Yeah.
Right? So try to shut that down by getting rid of Bridge.
Yeah, without Bridge, they're very slow. Iron Drakes are like 4-inch movement, I think.
Right. And then it sounds to me like I can sort of stall. If I can deal with the heroes, and then I can just focus on objectives and battle tactics while kind of staying away from their slow Iron Drakes, that I can just sort of wait, get my WoW points, and then bring the fight to them.
Yep. I think that's exactly how you play against them.
Right. So try to get in behind them, take my objectives. Okay. Awesome.
Yeah.
That's pretty easy. So Fire Slayers?
Yeah, sure. I don't know much about Fire Slayers. This list looks kind of terrifying, in my opinion. They're playing Greyfeared, so they have an artifact on every hero that they're playing, as well as on one of their Grimwrath Berserkers. They have the Pouch of Null Dust and the Nullstone icon. just like they have 6 heroes, 2 Grimwrath Berserkers, a bunch of Volkite Berserkers, some Hearth Guards. They're gonna put a bunch of units across the table. So I think the Hearth Guards tunnel. They have a deep striking ability, and then they're right.
It's the rune. One of the rune guys does the deep strike.
Oh, okay.
It's a hero that does it, and he can take someone with him. Can you go back up to the heroes real quick?
They're playing a big mix of heroes and the new one, the Grimhold Exile.
Yeah, I don't think it's the Rune Master, so I don't think they have the tunneling guy.
They have Battlesmith, Flamekeeper, Rune Master, Rune Sun, Rune Father.
Yeah, so Battlesmith puts out the
rally, right?
Yes, he puts out the rally. He might have a ward. I don't remember. It's been a bit since I've.
I thought they all like pretty much all had wards.
They can.
Yeah.
But it's really the Hearth Guard, like Berserkers. Does he have some of those? I missed it when you
Yeah,
spoke
he has
the first time.
10 Hearth Guard.
Yeah, so they have a ward. I think it's 5 up, maybe it's 4 up, while they're next to a hero. So if you can just make them try and keep in that bubble and then punish them by ripping it off with Nasty Hex, they'll go down real quick.
Yeah.
So that's an interaction you'll want to set up, right? You'll want to be thinking about, okay, I need to get Gobsprak over there and try and get this spell off in a turn where I can also like slap some pigs on him or a Maw Crusher or something like that.
Yep, sneaky miasma into Nasty Hex sounds pretty good.
This is definitely an army where they need their leaders to function.
Mm-hmm.
Do they have any wizards?
No.
No.
And they're running 2 Nullstone adornments.
The prayer, the Magmadroth or whatever it is.
Yeah, I hate that.
That'll
thing.
do a good amount of damage if they get lucky, right?
Well, I played against this player before, and it's like there's nothing I can't interact with this invocation. Mm-hmm. There's nothing I can do. It's gonna I'm gonna set up this model like in your midst, and it just lives there now. There's nothing you can do to stop it.
You just got to spread out a bit.
Yeah.
You might want to think up a plan of like breaking your army in 2.
Yeah.
All right, figuring out what sets of models you need to keep together for your centralized threats versus your decentralized threats, like the Maw Crusher, or maybe a unit of pigs where they can go off and kind of be threats without support, and you can get them away to spread out away from the Infernoth. Or, I mean, honestly, the Fire Slayers will struggle a little bit if you spread out as well, because they're slow and they want to kind of keep up around like the Battlesmith to maximize those buffs.
Yeah, they have to fight in a bubble, and like you said earlier, they're not taking the guy that lets them deep strike. So they are going to be very slow. The only fast unit in this entire army is the Magmadroth.
So
it's not even that fast.
So here's what I'm hearing you say. I don't want to be punching into their castle. What I want to be doing is sort of spreading out my units to take space to force them to decide where they're going to go to do what, and then when they split up, I can divide and conquer with Sneaky Miasma, Nasty Hex, right? Yes. And I can throw all my primal dice at like Nasty Hex.
Yeah.
For example.
You play slow and you pull them apart. You don't want to play fast into Fire Slayers. You're going to have an advantage the longer the game goes, and it takes them forever to even get to you.
They have a hard time taking objectives, so just leverage that.
Right. So just minimum spread out, minimum unpacking for 5-point turns, and then just chill.
And you also negate a lot of the advantage they have of having that 4-up rally. If by the time they do finally get into combat with you and they want to rally, they're still stuck there and they can't rally with 3. You know, you want to like make them walk across the table, not taking losses on the way over, and then finally fight you and not be able to really use their rally at all.
And hopefully have my +1/+1 by that point.
Exactly, yeah. You'll have your buffs by then. So
and I'll just throw a kill bow into them every turn, right?
Yeah, you got a Magmadroth to shoot at, so you can try to kill their faster monster with the kill bow. You know, yeah, you got some stuff to do while you're waiting.
Don't try and match up your brutes into the Magmadroth, right? Because he'll just bleed all over them and they'll die and then run, or you'll have to spend the CP for it. So that's
I'd
a
use-
matchup.
I'd
You
use
want like the
brutes.
Gorgruntas or something.
Okay.
I'd use the brutes to try to stop one of those units from scoring. One of those battle line units. Get them on an objective and try to turn their scoring off.
That's a great idea.
Why do
That'll
they
be
only
a
have
really
one
nice
wound?
swing.
They're 2.
Yeah, they're 2 wounds.
I thought that brutes only shut off 1 wound.
I think it's 1 and 2. Or is it
Let's
3 or
double check.
less? I think it might be
I'm
3 or
checking
less.
already. Wounds characteristic of 1.
Ah, dang.
Oh, is it just 1?
It's just
Okay.
one.
Are Volkite Berserkers 2 wounds as well?
Yeah, the whole army's 2.
The whole army's 2?
Everything's
Okay.
2. 1 wound models are not super common.
Well, they are just not in order.
Just not for order units, I guess, yeah. Yeah, okay, so I mean, you'll want to try to play a delayed, slower game and then, like, really steal the game from them in turn 3 or 4, I would imagine. Is
Good.
when the tempo will start picking up.
I like it.
Lumineth, I love this list. This is Lumineth, I put it on my document the way God intended. We got 4x5 wind chargers, 20 wardens, a star shard ballista, and the Light of Altharion and the Fox. I love it. They're gonna run around with a bunch of kangaroos with bows and try to like do really weird pile out tricks to space you out, and they're going to shoot you with wind chargers, but they don't have the annoying shooting sentinels that do mortal wounds from all the way across the map, so you don't have to worry about that.
So how do I
is
kill
gonna
them?
ruin your day, by the way. Watch out for that.
Which one?
What
Sorry?
is
Ravenix Gnashing Jaws, right?
yeah.
So
Oh,
you
yeah.
can come in and snipe a hero or just explode your brutes. So
Yeah.
you want to be careful with positioning on that for their casters, or at least be mindful of Gobsprax on vines to try and stop it.
Yeah, I try to
No.
keep Gobsprack within 30 of every caster they have. As a general rule. So what am I most afraid of here in this list?
Total Eclipse is a spell that you want to stop every time the Calgrave tries to cast it.
Okay.
Because it makes your
Calgrave.
commands cost double.
And I can't afford that.
Yeah, you need Mighty Destroyers and you need Redeploy, and yeah, no shot. Protection of Heesh is annoying because it is the ward save AoE, but it's not as strong because it's not Techless's, it's a smaller bubble. But that'll give a 5-up ward to his units, I think, in 12 inches on that version. And the Light of Altharion is just a really fighty hero.
Yeah, he slaps.
That hero will lift stuff. That's his Maw Crusher right there. And the
Oh,
Hurricane
really?
Spirit of the Wind is really annoying.
In what regard?
It has, I think it has... I have to make sure that I'm right about this, because I know that they rewrote this War Scroll a couple of times, because it was really dumb. I think it still does 6-inch pile-in, and it doesn't have to move closer to you when it makes pile-in moves. So... the Hurricane Spirit of the Wind. It moves in the shooting phase. Yep, it doesn't have to finish closer when it makes a pile-in move, and when it makes a pile-in move, it moves an extra 3 inches if it charge. So they can tag you and then pile out of range of you into something else, and they move in the shooting phase.
I like it.
Yeah.
Light of Altharion is a good thing to try and take down with your Wargog.
Yes.
Okay.
Because the wind chargers don't do that much. They're annoying, but they're not going to do that much damage.
I mean, they're going to
just
stand
gonna
on
hop around.
objectives.
Yeah, they're going to hop around and try to make it so that you can't charge where you want.
Okay, but you're saying don't be distracted by these wind chargers,
Yes.
right? It's
Yeah.
they're not a priority at all. What I'm hearing you say is that the heroes in this list are the scary thing.
The heroes and the block of 20 wardens is scary too. 20 wardens can do a lot of damage in combat. So I would keep my eye on the 20 wardens and the heroes. Yeah.
Okay, good. Unbinds.
Yeah.
Right. Get rid of total eclipse.
Total Eclipse and Jaws are the two big
Total
priorities.
eclipse and jaws. Okay, good. Daughters of Cain.
This person is great. This person is running a no Marathi Daughters of Cain list with 50 Witch Elves, 4 Avatars of Cain, and some heart renders, and a couple of heroes to help him fight.
We just
Just
give them
got-
props for naming everything.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
RuPaula, High Gladiatrix. Yeah, you gotta love it. This person has 4 avatars of Cain. And they're just really annoying. Yeah, I love the note next to this so that we know, but yeah, that avatar is immune to monstrous actions, and it can do Stomp and Stomp to Rubble.
4 Avatar of Cains.
They're very fighty.
I hope this person has a really awesome hobby army. That would be so cool. To have like a RuPaul's Drag Race Daughters of Cain army or something like that.
Oh, that'd be so cool, yeah.
Okay, so what's my... I've played Daughters of Cain once or twice, but it was like from a relatively new player, so...
So the 30 Witch Elves are a blender, right? And they're pretty weirdly survivable.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think they can get a ward save, right? So that might be something to keep in mind.
Yep, they can get a ward, and they also can get a 4-up rally with Zealous Orator on the Hag Queen.
But they are only 1 wound, so that's something for brutes.
Yes.
Okay.
Multi-damage is really good against this army, and their saves aren't great. Their saves are like, okay. I think they usually have 4s and 5s.
That's what I remember.
Yeah. And you can just roll through their heroes if you get into them. So this is an army where that like teleporting pigs into their back line to like wipe out their heroes or something like that, or if they come up early, teleporting a Maw Crusher back there to just go and like wreak havoc in their back line, that'll put you off to a good start.
They don't really have much of an answer to just Maw Crusher teleports in and deletes something. They don't have Unleash Hell.
Well, the Medusa... Wait, don't the Medusas have a good Unleash Hell into, like... Well, those are into high model count units.
Oh, do they?
They have a
the
mortal
heroes?
wound. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I don't remember exactly what it does. I just remember getting annihilated by it.
13 drops.
Oh, yeah, this list is a lot of drops.
So I go second, right? Against this list.
Yeah.
I make the move up,
yeah.
and then I try to get in behind, and then I try to come in from the sides. And
I guess it does kind of depend on the battle plan. Some of the terrain layouts that I looked at, because I was really interested in the terrain layouts they did for these battle plans. Some of them make the space kind of choked, and it feels like if you let them take the center too quickly in some of these battle plans, it could be really hard to take back.
Maybe, I don't know. I feel like giving the turn. I mean, one of my defaults is that if you're going to be able to, you want to try and aim for the 2 to 3 double turn.
Yeah.
So if you give them first, you're increasing the chance that you can do that from the dice from like a statistical perspective, right?
Yeah.
And you're not going to be getting into them turn 1 anyways. If you move up, they're going to countercharge you. So if you go first, you're going to have to spend your turn just kind of like spreading out and buying time.
Yeah.
And you'd rather have them, like, let them make the mistake of moving up way too fast turn 1 or doing something stupid and just punishing them for it.
Yeah.
Generally speaking, I think if I get to choose, I choose second.
Yes, I think generally. I mean, Seraphon maybe being that one exception from earlier, and maybe certain cases with the Sylvaneth too.
Yeah, Sylvaneth might make you go first, thinking that you can't do anything to them on turn 1, and then you might be able to punish them depending on how they deploy. So you'll want to keep an eye on that.
Okay, how about Chaos?
Ooh, Chaos.
Let's start with...
How much corn do we have?
3
only
far.
3.
Oh,
it's a pretty
nice.
even distribution. 3 corn, 3 Nurgle, 2 Slanesh, 2 beasts, 1 slaves.
So let's talk about corn. And what can you guys tell me overall about like what I'm thinking and whatever for corn?
Don't let Scarbrand come in and rock you.
Yeah. There's only one Scarbrand list, but if you play it, be careful. And I think both of the other ones are Bellicor lists.
Mm.
Yeah.
Have you played against Bellicor, Moss?
The Everchosen?
No.
No.
The demon.
I don't think I have.
So he has a rule where he can kind of just like basically shut off a unit until their next hero phase. It's pretty rough if you have a dedicated hammer. So if I was rocking up with the Be'lakor and looking at your list, I think unless I'm even if I'm super familiar, I think they're choosing your Maw Crusher.
Yeah.
So against those Be'lakor lists, when you're like figuring out how to move your pieces and setting up your engagements, like don't count on your Maw Crusher doing anything.
Okay.
Because there's a high likelihood that I think it's like every time you try and do each phase, you roll like a 3-up, and then if it succeeds, he can't do anything that phase or something similar to that.
You pick a unit at the start of the hero phase, and then at the start of every phase until the end of until the end of the turn, I think it is. You roll a die, and on a 3-up, that unit can't do anything in that phase. Can't move, can't shoot, can't fight,
so I can't.
Yeah.
So if I'm like, okay, my plan is to take the Maw Crusher and do this with it, it's a bad plan.
Yeah, because it's especially punishing for melee units. They have to move, they have to charge, and they have to be able to fight.
And do I have to like fake that I'm going to do something with them? Like when does he have to make the choice?
Start of the hero phase. Yeah. In the hero phase.
I think it's start. Let me double check that.
So here's the question: if I go first, can he do it on me turn 1?
Yes.
Okay. Yes.
So is it per turn or is it per round?
Once per game.
Okay, so at the beginning of the game, he just gets to pick one of my units?
Yeah. No, I mean, he can use it once per game. He can do it at any time, basically, any turn.
Start of the enemy hero phase, you can pick one enemy unit on the battlefield.
Okay.
So that matters if I guess they're not running Spring the Trap, so...
but if they have anything if you have anything in reserve for any reason,
But you'll know it's that turn, because he has to declare it at the start of your turn.
Okay.
So if he just does declare it, don't count on that unit doing much that turn.
Right.
Yeah,
and he's nerfed for a turn.
It is a very telegraphed move, though. So you don't have to commit a lot before he decides to do that. So, once the window passes for him to decide to use that.
And who did you say not to let into my ranks?
Scarbrand.
He's in one of the lists.
Yeah, there's a list.
Yeah, okay, I see him.
Well, and they have
here.
And
have you played against Khorne much?
No.
Okay. So Scarbrand has a special thing where if he didn't fight in both combat phases in the previous turn, he fights at his bottom bracket, which is his best bracket.
Okay.
So he's super killy, and he has one of his weapons just flat out does a crap ton of mortal wounds. It's like one attack, but
I think it's flat 8.
Is it 8?
I think it's flat 8 mortal wounds in his bottom bracket for that attack.
So
it's very strong.
Is this a destroyer target?
Yes.
Where I want
to profit.
If you can kill Scarbrand, yes.
But is he killable? Like Maw Crusher, like fully buffed up, jumping on?
He will have no, he doesn't get the 5-up ward in combat, right? He gets it 8 inches away from enemy units.
Right, but he does have a 3d6 charge.
But he has a 3d6 charge, but he doesn't fly.
Right. So you'll want to screen him, like sacrifice an Ardball unit to him.
And then punch him with a Maw Crusher.
Right, or something like that.
Hit him with a... Right, but like hit him with a kill blow maybe, and then jump in to get him with something else.
Yeah, he has a 5-up. Khorne has a 5-up. Khorne demons have a 5-up ward if they're not within 8 of an enemy unit. Okay. So he is predisposed against the kill bow, but you know what? You make him roll those saves, or if they make him roll those saves. He just hits so hard if you let him get into something meaningful.
But what I also heard you say is I can't just Wargog stare him at a 12-inch distance.
No, you can, but if you get within 8, you can if you have a unit within that range,
but
right? So if you hero phase, you can't hero phase charge. If something manages to survive, then like I've done it before where he charges in and kills a unit but doesn't manage to kill everything around him. Right. So if they are on the offensive, you're more likely to be able to pull that off.
Okay. Good.
Yep.
Was the Wrath of Khorne the AoE one?
Yes, and then the Unfettered Fury is the -1 to hit area, like tech utility one. So that guy's taking Scarbrand, Wrath of Corn, and Unfettered Fury. He's taking triple Bloodthirster and then some priests and like a bunch of MSU stuff. And then the other Corn lists are playing a bit of a different philosophy. The slam a lot of demon meat onto the table philosophy. This guy has 30 Bloodwetters, and then 4 units of 10 Blood Reavers, and some claws for the pregame move. He has the tech Bloodthirster with Unfettered Fury, and Argath is going to turn off ward saves within 3 inches, so don't let the Wargog get close to that.
Okay.
Do any of them have the like get over here prayer?
Yes.
Okay, so
that very hero has Bloodbind. Yeah.
Okay, so Moss, something to look out for is they have a prayer that makes your unit move. Is it D6? I think.
Yeah, you have to move D6 inches closer to them.
So that's one where if you're not, if your Maw Crusher can get caught out, or one of your like squishier heroes like a War Chanter or something can get caught out, and moved up out of the safety of the screens that you have min or your castle. Khorne has a lot of movement shenanigans across the phases, so you're just gonna have to be careful with your spacing.
Yeah, this matchup's going to be really hard and very spacing intense, I think, because you're.
But it's going to be really fun.
Oh yeah, it's super fun because it's all movement.
So I want to stay like. What I'm hearing you say is, I want to keep my distance from this army. I really want to make sure I'm building up my wall points, and cross my fingers. And there's a few really killy units I have to watch out for to countercharge, and I got to really think about my movement.
Yeah, it's gonna be a huge movement game, and you'll want to get to that 16 to 20 point WA bracket where you start kind of outpowering them and outmuscling them. Mm-hmm. The key is gonna be getting there through like their Bloodthirsters are probably gonna try and get into you quickly, right. So not letting them take out a big target first, letting them either like waste their turn on some idiots, or I mean, I've had Scarbrand fail to kill like Hobgrots before, so like he can whiff. Yeah. If you just run something up into him and then he's held back for a turn, but you don't want to let him into your Maw Crusher if he gets to fight first, and it can be really hard with the movement shenanigans and the 3d6 charge. So you just got to be mindful of the spacing.
Yeah.
Roger. Okay, how about Nurgle? Got 2 Nurgle lists.
I got 3.
Oh, I must have missed one.
We got, I think.
I thought there were 3.
Am I crazy? Yeah, I think there's 3. I just pulled 2 that I wanted to talk about.
Let's hear it.
It's one of them's the one you're looking at right now.
Okay.
This list is awesome.
Yeah.
The Glotkin, Blobe, and Orgots, 30 Plague Bearers, and 20 Rotmire Creep. That's it.
This is my favorite narrative list.
This list is like actually kind of strong, even though it's like silly. But it's silly looking anyway because it's so few lines of text. But that unit of Plague Bearers ends up being like a 90 wound blob of -1 to hit.
Avoid it.
Yeah.
Don't try and kill it.
Do not fight that. This army is slow, but the Glotkin has a command that allows it to do like the Iron Sun's charge.
Okay.
So you want to be careful of the Glotkin. If you can kill the Glotkin at any point, awesome.
It allows another unit to do the Iron Sun's charge.
Isn't it him and the other unit?
Right, but I believe they ruled it that he can do it while he's in combat, right? So yeah. I mean, I double check me on that, but he can make things charge you suddenly. He has a monstrous action that does like somewhere between 5 and 7 mortal wounds.
Yeah.
Pretty easily.
My experience with Nurgle, it has been that it's a divide and conquer focus fire opponent.
Yeah.
Right? So it's like I have to be like, okay, this turn I want to kill the Glotkin, and then everything has to go into killing the Glotkin, right? Or this turn I'm going to kill whatever. So I'm hearing you say just stay away from the Plague Bearers.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Just stay away from them. If I have to throw something in their way or whatever to stall them, that's fine.
Yep.
And I should get in the back and try to kill The Glotkin. I mean, if I could if I could throw everything, like two different things, three different things into a Glotkin and lift it with Destroyer, to me that seems good. And it seems like I'm going to be able to do that because there's so
Yeah.
few units. He's going to have a hard time, like zoning everything, right? Like
Another nice thing to note too is like if he loses these 2 units of Rotmire Creed, how does he hold objectives? He has 1 blob of 30 Plague Bearers and 3 monster heroes, right? So it's like, yeah, you do want to kill the Glotkin for sure. If you can Wargog it at any point, you're going to want to shoot the kill bow at it a lot. Nasty hexing him is probably worth it at some point. But you do need to kill them all at once, right? Because they do heal really fast. But those units of Rotmire Creed, if you can get rid of those on the sides, he's only gonna be able to sit in one spot on the map.
So Rotmire Creed, do you think that my like a unit of 3 pigs is a match?
I think so. Rotmire Creed they have a couple of 2 wound models in there, but they're mostly 1 wound, and
So-
they have like I think a 5-up save and a 5-up ward.
If they're +1 damage and they have like some better rend on tusks and hooves, I should be able to like
Yes.
take them out. So that to me seems like a smart play. It's like the pigs are going to the side. Wherever
Yeah.
the Rotmire Creed go, my pigs are going to find him and hunt him.
Yeah, and
Right?
the Rotmire Creed definitely won't be able to kill you back. So the pigs will easily wrap up the sides like that. I like
Right.
that.
And then the Plague Bearers, I'm just going to like whatever, throw 5 Ardboys at them and then throw another 5 Ardboys at them after that.
Yeah, just
And
delay,
then
delay, delay, and
delay,
then deal with all the
delay.
heroes.
And then get into the Glotkin with Wargog, Killbow, Gobsprak with Nasty Hex, Destroyer. Pick my turn and delete the Glotkin. And then after that, it's if I win on the sides against the Rotmire, and then at like turn 3, maybe even turn 4, I can delete the Rotkin, and the Plague Bearers have been busy this whole time. Yeah.
Then,
okay,
yeah,
I
that's a
understand.
big win.
I have
Yeah.
a hard time against Nurgle.
And,
Nurgle is why I'm
like,
playing a Maw Russia.
You can lift the Glotkin with a Wargog. I've done it. You just gotta
Yeah.
roll hot, man. Just roll good.
I don't even want to look at how many wounds it has. Okay.
It's like 20.
I think it's 20.
I told you I didn't want to know.
Well, you didn't look. I told you. It's okay.
All right,
Oh,
moving on.
this list is another Glotkin list.
Okay. This has
Sloppity
got all the
Vile
big
Piper.
stuff, yeah.
Yeah, it's got all the stuff. It's got a great Unclean one in it as well, which I think is with the Glotkin, that is a lot of points. But I mean, they're taking a reinforced unit of Plague Bearers, normal unit of Plague Bearers, normal unit of Blight Kings, and Gut Rot.
Is Gutrot
So
Spume good?
He deep strikes the Blight Kings. So
Is that
it's
what
just-
he does?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
just some mobility for Nurgles because they're so slow. They can get onto a side objective or something. I think they have to come on the board edge though, right? It's not just anywhere.
I believe so.
I believe that's a board edge deep strike. So you can control a little bit where he'll show up.
Is it okay? And this guy's running a bunch of different Plague Bearer units.
Yeah, he's got 1 reinforced one normal one. He's going to just be using the Glotkin to give them +1 wound characteristic. That's a spell you'll want to be denying with Gobsprak in all the games you play with the Glotkin. It gives them just a huge amount of tankiness, fleshy abundance.
Fleshy Abundance.
Well, that it says the Guo has it there, but maybe he has maybe they renamed it on his War Scroll. Let me see. I thought it used to just be his was fleshy. Because he has a spell that gives +1 wound characteristic. Abundance of Flesh is the one on his War Scroll. So you pick a Nurgle mortal unit, you add 1 to the wounds characteristic. Oh, okay. So he'll be using this for the Blight Kings then instead, I believe.
So Sloppity's in there. He's a sneaky little guy.
Yeah.
If you haven't seen or played against him, so he has. When is he? I forget when he chooses it. Let's see. My love is like a ripe fart. Is it just constantly? Yeah. So you can't pile in when you're around him.
Yeah.
So if you're gonna charge into, I think it's 14-inch range, right? Don't try and do some like techie, make my first model contact and the rest of my guys charge way out to the side to kind of wrap around. Like when you charge in around that guy, get as many guys in because you don't know the next time they're gonna get a pile in.
Okay.
Yep.
So I'm hearing basically the same thing from the other Nurgle list, but this one looks like it's a little bit trickier to play against because there's more units of Plague Bearers. Like there's more fronts.
And the Blight Kings are scary as well.
Yeah, they're tanky. They hit pretty hard. The 20 Plague Bearers is a lot less tanky than 30, but it's not something you like. You can fight your way out if you have to, but you don't want to actively seek to push that down unless you really, really need that objective. In which case, you're probably better off just trying to outbody them and take the objective that way.
Yep.
But I mean, Glockkin will still punch hard if he gets into something.
And
so
that Great Unclean one has like a combat loadout as well. He's not taking summoning points with like a bell or anything here. He's taking Bile Sword, Bile Blade, like he wants to get right into combat and fight.
So same thing, divide and conquer. Don't try to fight Plague Bearers.
Yeah, the problem here though is that like the Great Unclean one and the Glockkin are probably going to chill right next to each other and try to hold the center. That's like 1,000 points of your opponent's list, and they're going to charge together and fight together.
Right, but if I can delete one of them, right? Like
if
that's
you can
the
get
idea.
rid of one, yeah.
If I can get rid of one and they turn with the other, it's like okay.
Yeah.
But you're not gonna like you're not. But I got rid of it, right? Like it's gone.
Right. Yeah. If you can kill the Glockkin or the Great Unclean one, you're getting a huge amount of value here.
Any wizards here?
Yes.
the Glockkin and the Great Unclean one.
Right. So Gobsprak is going to be useless.
Well,
because
not useless.
No, but they're just going to heal off whatever I do to them.
Well, for that, yes, but Nasty Hex is going to be really good.
No, but that's what
army relies a lot.
No, I meant the unbinds. The unbind is not going to...
It'll make a little bit of a difference. It just kind of... I think, like, the healing that happens in their hero before they cast, doesn't it? Isn't it, like, start of hero phase that they do the locust stuff?
I'm just saying that maybe, like, this is a list where it's, like, unbinding isn't my priority for Primal Dice. Nasty Hex is a priority, right?
Yeah, yes.
Choking Mist is a priority.
I agree with both of those things. I will say that when they are going for Abundance of Flesh or Fleshy Abundance, you do want to get rid of that.
Okay.
Being able to make those Plague Bearers get +1 wound per model is stupid.
Stupid. That's how I feel about
it. Yeah, so you want to negate that one.
Okay, Beasts of Chaos.
Beasts. Yeah, we got 2 Beasts players. They're great. We got one guy playing 9 Bulgor. Oh yeah, that list has got 18 Bulgor. 18 Bulgor. Cygor, Cockatrice.
What does the Herd Stone do?
Increases the rend of weapons that Beasts of Chaos use.
Is it worth teleporting a monster onto it just to destroy it?
Well, yeah, that's also their grand strat.
Yeah.
Because it's something I was thinking about with Gobsprak was just because, like, whenever I've played against Beast players, they always put this thing way back in some corner somewhere.
Yeah.
Right? And then I'm like, well, why don't I just, like, teleport a monster beside it and then either Fasten or Sneaky Miasma or, like, 14 inches of flying my way out?
Well, your stomp happens after your movement, so that's kind of a bummer. But if you get over there and there's no one around there, sure.
Well, I just meant to teleport it beside it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, just like straight up.
Send your Maw Crusher over there. They're either going to send something over to defend it, which you're like, sweet, come fight my Maw Crusher, right? Or he can tag it that turn and then run off and fight some other meaningful battle the next turn.
Because both of these lists are, for the most part, null deployment lists. Like, they don't want to start with very much on the table at all. You should be able to get your Maw Crusher. I mean, he can, like, run across the entire table, right? Like, in a lot of these battle plans as well, you're only going to be maybe 22 inches away from your opponent's territory. So you should be able to really get in there with a Maw Crusher, even without a teleport if you wanted. Because you can, the other thing is against beasts, you can use the teleport to, like, zone out the places on the board edge that they can show up. And you can kind of try to, like, ring them so that units can't show up in as many places. They'll be able to have, like, one unit, I think, because of Bestial Cunning on the Doom Bull, can show up 7 inches away from you anywhere on the map. But all of their other units have to show up on a board edge.
Anything else about beasts that is worth knowing?
They're a flanking army, and a lot of the... I actually think I put a note about this in here is that like they're a flanking army, and a lot of the layouts of these battle plans have the terrain clustered in a very central kind of way, or where like they're leaving a very empty area for flanking armies. Like the power flux layout, they have both of the short sides are really empty. Limited resources has some like very empty corners. So Beasts is going to have a lot of good places to attack on a lot of these layouts.
Castle play, zone out castle play.
Against Beasts, you're just going to play the normal castle, and you're going to take the middle.
Right.
And hold it, because that's where most of the objectives are in most of these battle plans.
So then we got Hedonites of Slaanesh.
More
Be'lakor.
Yeah. This list is rude. It's real strong. We got some Bliss Barbs, some Demonettes just kind of filling out the battle line, 10 Fiends, or maybe that's 6. Do Fiends come in 3s or 5s? Maybe it's 3s. Slick Blade Seekers, Slangor Fiendbloods, Be'lakor, the Contorted Epitome General, with Shaman of the Chilled Lands instead of the Strength of Godhood. That's interesting. But he does have the Crown of Dark Secrets, so the attacks characteristic of weapons that are used when you're close to him is just going to be set to 1 by the Crown.
And what's this again?
The artifact that the Contorted Epitome has.
Okay. Stay away from him.
Stay away from him. He's going to set your attacks characteristic to 1.
Yikes.
Yeah. Don't attack him or anything that he is close to with a Maw Crusher.
Good to know.
And the Shard Speaker... No, that's not the Infernal and Rapturous. Never mind. That's not the one that makes you reroll successful casts. So yeah, and then the other thing to keep in mind is yet another Be'lakor list. So this person is going to shut down one of your key pieces. They're going to try to shut down stuff with their Contorted Epitome. And they're going to use those tech pieces below, the Fiends and the Slick Blades, to try to generate a lot of depravity really quickly.
So is this I want to fight all your little units that you send out on the map while I maintain my castle as long as I can?
Maybe. If he gets the archers or something into your brutes, like, you're gonna lose those.
Yeah.
I don't know much about the Fiends or the Slick Blades. Like,
Fiends, I know, have like an aura that gives enemy wizards -1 to cast. Let me see what else they do. I don't know if they're actually they're not very tanky. I know that, but I think maybe they're -1 to hit as well. Let's see. -1 to cast, unbind, and dispel for enemy wizards within 12. -1 to hit and wound in melee. Oh, I see. They have variable damage on their barbed stingers, and then they just have like 3s and 3s -1 D3 damage on the pincers. They're not that fighty. So that's 6 Fiends. That's 24 wounds of 5 up save. When he has full depravity, that'll be 5 up, 5 up. They're -1 to hit and wound.
yeah,
And
if you're
they're
not
kinda
familiar
tanky.
with Slaanesh, always take the damage. Never give them the depravity. And they
Always
have a
take the
significantly harder time.
damage.
Yes,
Yeah,
always.
Okay.
Depravity is crazy for them. They get these stacking buffs where it's like first it's just +1 to run and charge or something like that, and then the next one is like a 5 up ward, and then the one after that is like -1 to hit.
They have the WA
Army-wide.
table, but with a modern battle tome design.
Yes.
Right. So it's actually good.
Yeah.
Ours is good. Theirs is just crazy. So
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, and it's easy for them to generate depravity as well.
Mhm.
So
What sub-faction is this again, real quick?
this is Pretenders.
Pretenders. Okay, so they have 1,000,000 command points as well. They're never going to run out of command points, and they're going to issue commands multiple times to all of their units.
So I can't outgrind this army if they're also building points just like me.
But they're also really hard to alpha strike.
So
That's
I
kind of the
might
problem
just
with
like
Slaanesh.
I'm just like picking good fights,
Yes. You
trying
have
to
try
get
pick-
5 points,
Mhm.
and
Or
there's nothing in
objectives, yeah.
and there's nothing in particular that I have to
Yeah.
kill, right? Because it's like, okay,
It-
Be'lakor, right? Like I get it.
I mean, if you can kill the general, you can shut down them generating command points with pretenders, right?
Okay.
So if you can kill the contorted epitome, that's great. It also has a 2-up ward against mortal wounds, though, so
Oh,
the War
yeah.
God's never going to do that.
I remember that. I remember
Yeah.
that against playing Cruel Boys, and it's like, oh, it's a 2-up against mortal wounds. Like, okay, well, I lose.
Yeah, I can never kill that. That's
so
crazy.
what? So what kills the contorted epitome? How many wounds are we talking here? Like what? Let me look it up.
Contorted epitome, I think, is 7.
7 on a 5-up save, right?
Yeah.
It's
So
just immune to mortal wounds, pretty much.
Yeah.
And,
so
and everything only has 1 attack.
So pigs.
yes.
Nope, that's bad.
I mean, it's not. It might be one of your best solutions.
Ard
Pigs
boys.
with Hoarfrost. Pigs with Hoarfrost actually could do it because they have a lot of different attack profiles.
Yes.
So even though they're all getting set to 1,
So it'll be
the
6
Rend-
attacks.
yeah, the Rend and the +1 damage with 6 attacks, throw all-out attack or something.
Yeah,
on
that's
them.
true. Only 4 of the 6 attacks have to go through.
Yeah,
But you're
but
right.
they don't. But otherwise, yeah, and I mean, you're not gonna do mortal wounds to them.
And Gobsprak is gonna not do much either, right? 2 spells, 2 unbinds, but if they're mortal wounds,
Right.
Right.
I mean, you're still going to want to turn off the spells that the Epitome is casting.
Yes.
I think Phantasmagoria is kind of crazy. I don't remember what it does, but I need to... It's real good.
right?
That was my thought as well.
So it's
I don't
like-
remember what it does, but I remember it being.
So maybe try to throw a couple wounds on it with Gobsprak and cross my fingers for a good Hoarfrost pig engagement.
Yeah.
Because you're
Oh,
right.
oh,
It's
okay.
because if you can shut down their points, you win,
Yes.
right? If my second turn is me removing this contorted epitome, then
If
it's
you
like
can snipe
I win the game.
contorted epitome, you're in such a great spot.
Right.
Yeah. Because the Shard Speaker doesn't do much. Once Bellicor uses his once per game ability, he's like okay, he's kind of fighty, but he's just a demon prince. He's not really that exceptional other than that ability. The rest of the list is kind of just not as good when the contorted epitome's gone. So if you can snipe that, it's great. Be careful though. I just remembered by reading what Phantasmagoria does. Until your next hero phase, you pick an enemy unit within range, and each time that unit is picked to fight on a 3+, you can pick a friendly Hedonites unit within 3 inches, and that friendly unit can retreat before that enemy unit piles in.
Right. Okay.
So they just retreat when you try to activate.
So unbind that, but don't necessarily count on Gobsprak pushing through the mortal wounds.
Yeah.
Still a good thing you want to try and shut down.
Yep.
For sure. Okay. Ugh. Why
That'll be
can't-
fun, man.
Slaanesh is a really good army.
Okay, and then there's this other list too, but I kind of feel like it's going to be the same.
This list is going to be kind of the same, but worse. They don't have
Okay.
Bellicor. Celeste is not really very strong right now. The Keeper of Secrets is good and is scary, and you don't want to fight it. But this contorted epitome, it's in a different sub-faction, so you don't have to be scared of this contorted epitome. It doesn't reduce your attack's characteristic.
Okay.
They don't have that artifact. So this is a slightly different list. I think it's a little less strong.
Well, without
but I mean-
without Bellicor, so
Yes.
I can just right. But here again, it's the Keeper of Secrets. That's the general.
Let me see what the Girdle of the Realm Racer is, because I'm not familiar with this other half of the Slaanesh book. What is...
Oh, okay, I remember this Keeper of Secrets, but it's the same idea too. This Keeper of Secrets looks like it's more fighty, right? Like the general wants to, in this
Yeah.
list, wants to get up into the fight, and
Yep.
so I think I'm just gonna bait him. I'm gonna try to stall, and then I'll try to wait for it to come out, and then I'll jump on it with a bunch of different stuff and try to kill it. And then same thing, just like stop you from generating your points, and
I see the trick with this Keeper of Secrets. So the artifact gives it fly and lets it do 6-inch pile-in. And the command trait says that enemy units within 3 inches of it can't make pile-in moves as this general charged. And then
Okay.
in addition, you add 1 to the attack's characteristic of the general's melee weapons on the charge. So it's like an anti-charger.
It has the shield, right? I think it's
Yeah. The
it's got
Shining
a 5-up
Aegis.
ward.
Yeah.
So it's kind of tanky.
so Maw Crusher.
Yeah.
If you nasty
Maw-
hex it.
Yeah, Maw
But even
Crusher
if
will
I
lift that.
don't, I feel like I
Yeah.
could still get
Even
in
yeah,
there.
I think if you pop Destroyer, you'll kill it no matter.
16 wounds is a lot of wounds. A 5-up
But it's
ward
only on a
makes it
4-up
lot.
save.
Okay, so a couple rend and that'll do. I was
Yeah.
even it's even worth, I feel, if you're gonna go for that kind of strategy where you have like a big Maw Crusher that's gonna go in and delete something, where you give it Hoarfrost. Right?
Yeah, it's worth it to do that.
Yeah,
to
because
make
the
rend better.
Rip 2 Fist just has 1 rend.
Yeah.
Right. So if you roll a 1, you're like, okay, like he has, 2 up to wound or whatever, if it's still relatively early, and then you can be on 2s and 2s again with
Yep.
all out attack, right? But
It's a
or
really
their-
nice option. I think.
their finest
I-
hour, right?
I wonder if if you have to choose, I think Mystic Shield might be the better option there.
You think
Just
so?
because I mean, Maw Crushers are tanky, but they're not like as tanky as a lot of these modern threats.
Correct.
And his damage is pretty good. One of my criticisms with Hoarfrost is you never actually know like what you're gonna roll, when you're gonna get it off in time. So I mean, he's already gonna be on 2s and 2s. So the only thing that's, if you get a 2 or a 3, his melee weapons go to damage or go to rend 2 or 3, right? So it's
Yeah.
like,
Well,
I
I
don't know.
just
I guess
mean
it
like
depends on what kind of situation you're throwing him into.
it's
If
like there's a
he's-
Keeper of Secrets that I can get into, and I want it to die right now. Like I want to hit it with the Maw Crusher and have it removed from the game. It's like I'm gonna give it Violent Fury. I'm gonna give it Hoarfrost. Destroyer's coming. Like I'm going all in with everything because I want to like have the highest possible chance of removing it from the table.
Yes,
that's
I
my
don't know
thinking,
if that
right?
trade is going to be worth it. Like if you trade your Maw Crusher for their Keeper of Secrets, and that's all that comes out of that exchange, I'm not sure how far ahead you are.
What if it's turn 2 because it's their general?
Yeah.
They shut down all their points.
Uh-huh.
To me, that seems like, and now I can just stall.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm not certain, but I'm not saying it's I don't think it's guaranteed Hoarfrost every time. I think there are a lot of cases where Mystic Shield on your Maw Crusher to keep that hammer alive when he goes into charge might be something to remember.
Okay.
Right? It's really easy to get excited and be like, all right, Hoarfrost,
Yeah,
let's
die,
do it.
die,
Let's
die,
cast
die.
the spell."
Wah! Yeah, no,
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you get both, right? Because
Hopefully.
your Hoarfrost is on the Wargog Prophet.
Yes.
So yeah, he has 2 casts. If you're casting
Yep.
with him, it's probably Mystic Shield and Hoarfrost. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
that is generally what he's casting, unless there's a
Perfect,
target for Fist of Gork. But
yeah.
like, okay, that's cool. I like it. I can do that.
The Slaves to Darkness list, I don't think is a big deal for you. It's a bunch of Chaos Knights and some Varangard.
Varangard could be scary. What is that, 2 or 4x5 Chaos Knights?
Yeah,
Interesting.
And 2x3 Varangard and 2 Manticores. That's the
Also
whole list.
interesting. And the Doom Sigil.
Oh, and the Doom Sigil, yeah. That's the weird counting one, right?
The one of the most poorly worded things in the game, besides the
Yeah.
enhancement section of the rules.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't think there's a ton to worry about here. Chaos Knights, they're good on the charge, but once you're engaged with them, they're kind of like hit with foam noodles. So if you charge
Yeah.
Ardboys into them or pigs into them, you might not grind through them. I assume. Oh, they're marked corn. All right, yeah, definitely charge them if you can.
Yeah.
They're
You
not even
wanna-
marked Nurgle. Just get into them.
Yeah, you want to get the charge on them. This person is trying to play like a really aggressive, low drop, corn marked Knights list. I think all the Varangard are corn as well.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep, they are.
So
How many drops are they?
2. They have because they have 2 Manticores.
Yeah.
So
So deploy defensively.
right. So
Yep.
deploy defensively, but try to charge into them.
yeah, and be conscious of the fact that because their army is basically like 2 copy pasted 1,000 point lists, that they can kind of operate in 2 independent cells.
Okay, I see.
Like their army's completely symmetrical. They have 4 units of Knights, 2 units of Varangard, and 2 Chaos Lord on Manticores. So they can just like split that evenly in half into 2 halves of the board and deploy in different places and have like almost identical groups.
A really good call.
Yeah. So you want to be conscious of the fact that they don't have to operate as a coherent whole.
Okay, that is good to know.
Yeah.
I had okay.
Have
Sorry.
you played against Varangard before?
No.
So they have I'm pretty sure it's just a generic Vanguard ability where they can fight twice in a combat phase.
Once per game. Yeah, they get a
Yeah.
once per game fight twice.
It's not one after another. It's they can be chosen to fight again in the combat phase.
But they get like fight last, I think, right? They go into the fight last bracket and then they can fight again. Or is
I don't
it?
believe so. Actually, I think it's just. Let me read it.
Maybe it's
Once per battle in the combat phase, after this unit has fought in that phase for the first time, when it is your turn to pick a unit to fight, this unit can be picked to fight for a second time. So,
oh wow.
No.
Okay, yeah. So it's just in order. They just go back into the queue.
Yeah.
So yeah, they're pretty dangerous. They have damage 2. They're pretty accurate. Lots of attacks, some rend. So they're gonna chop through whatever they touch.
And they have a 4-up versus mortal wounds and a 3-up save. So they're hard to take out with the Wergog. And they can be hard to take out with like your Maw Crusher and something like that. This is one where your best bet into them might be just Hoarfrosting Pigs. Like that's your ideal target for them.
Because once you get Ren 2 or Ren 3, they're about a good bit softer.
Okay.
Yeah.
You can grind them down though. Like if your Ard boys are all souped up, like you can grind through them. It just if you get pinned in your deployment zone by that army, even if you screen well, you're gonna have a hard time getting out and getting points.
Yeah, that's sort of been my experience with them. It's like you have to be castly, but you have to like push forward up into the map.
Yeah, get Gobsprak to fly out from behind there, do a teleport to get out behind him, something like that.
Yep. I love the Maw Crusher from behind. It's amazing. Okay, death. So we got 3 OBR lists and 1 Soul Blight list.
It was really surprising to me, since they're the 2 highest win rate armies in the game, that there's only 4 death players. But this Soul Blight list is annoying to deal with. 80 zombies, 2 zombie dragons, a necromancer with Hoarfrost, vampire lord with blizzard. Yeah, they're gonna throw a lot of chaff at you. They're gonna throw a lot of meaningless zombie bodies.
Are you familiar with Soul Blight at all, Moss?
No, I just know
So
that zombies are a pain in the butt that everybody talks about.
Well, not even that. Like, don't sell the Vlazda short, the vampire lord on zombie dragon.
Hurts.
So when it fights, after it fights, it heals equal to the damage that it dealt up to 6.
Okay.
So if you either like want to try and fight it later in the combat phase, like after it's fought, or just nuke it, because it heals a lot. Like it'll heal 6, and that's a lot of damage. Spirit Gale is like a board-wide AoE. It's like one mortal wound to everything on the board, and 2 if they roll above a 9.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Okay.
I
don't like that.
And he's got what? He's got two Vlazdas there. One's got Vile Transference, which is that the one where you do mortal wounds? You basically kill both of them, I think.
Vile Transference. They changed all the Soul Blight spells in the new book.
To be honest,
again.
I'm not overly concerned about spells. Well, just because whenever I play with anybody, I'm like, okay, who are your wizards? Okay, those 2 guys? Okay, good. And then I just like make sure, do my best to make sure Gobsprak's within 30.
Right, or keep the Maw Crusher outside of range. So Vile Transference.
Yeah. You just do mortal wounds and then heal for the damage.
Yeah, so you roll a number of wounds equal to their wounds characteristic. Every 5 up, they suffer a mortal wound and you can heal. And he's got that on his other Vlazda. So, it's only range 9, so it's very close.
Yeah.
But he'll run up, and I've specifically had it like really, really dunk a Maw Crusher in Big Law. So, that's a spell to look out for.
So
the good news is the Maw Crusher will lift it.
Oh yeah. My Maw Crusher lifts everything.
And it only has a 6-up ward for death. It doesn't have any special death wards. This person's not running Neferata or like the unrendable save.
Okay, so what? They have good spells, and then zombies are like, they kill things, and when they kill things, they get more, like, they're impossible to kill, right? Like, they just keep coming more and more.
Oh no,
and more.
you can kill zombies. Because that rule would be great if they were playing like 60 zombies and if they could give them range or something. The zombies are just like a lot of wounds that are in the way, and they deal mortal wounds to you within 3 inches when models die.
Okay, so they're just kind of annoying.
Yeah, you have to squish through them. They're going to do some mortal wounds to you. They're chunky. It's going to take a little time.
So his command trait is that his summonable models count as 2 models for contesting objectives if they're wholly within 12 of the general. So he might like run them around to like that suddenly that 20 zombies is 40 zombies, and if you're not chewing through them, it's going to be a lot to contest. And
Yeah.
the zombies do come back at half strength generally. Like they probably will at some point.
Yep.
So yeah, you can blow them up, but if
I
you
want to kill the
don't, and then you get
dragons.
stuck there, like if you throw your Maw Crusher at a bunch of zombies and
Oh, I
you leave
won't.
like 5, and then you get double charged by the Vlazdas, you're not gonna have a good day.
Yeah, you need to kill those dragons. If you kill those dragons, this list doesn't do a lot of damage at all.
Good. I have
Trick
lots
them
of
into
tricks.
charging next to a Wergog.
Well, I got lots of tricks, right? Like the Maw Crusher can move 36 inches in a turn.
Yeah.
Right, like he's fast. He can move 24 just in the hero phase.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah, you just got to make sure that you can get that space to get in on the dragon. He's probably going to protect it pretty hard. The general in particular is the one you want to kill for that unbending will ability. Yeah. You gotta get that model count thing off the but the general and good to kill no matter what.
OBR.
This list.
I love the Mir Kanan. Solid pick.
Yeah, the Mir Kanan is an interesting touch here. We're just kind of throwing him in there. The Bone Shaper General with Dark Acolyte getting the free cast, so if he successfully casts his first spell from the OBR war, he just can't be unbound. Artisan's Key is going to help him do a double heal, so he can just heal a unit twice, or resurrect twice, and then, Catacross is in there. This list is just going to be tanky as fuck. That's what they do. They're really tanky. They got Immortus Guard with, what is it, like a 2-up, 5-up, basically, with Catacross
and then
around.
Rend 2 damage 2 on Immortus Guard 2. They're crazy. Stalkers are fast.
Immortus Guard are 6 wounds apiece, and they can return all of the models in that unit to it because they're min size. So you have to kill them outright, or they'll be full strength again. Necropolis Stalkers hit hard.
You're just gonna have to spread out.
What do I have to kill in one go?
Catacross.
Catacross and the Bone Shaper are the two things that you want to kill as quickly as possible. The good news for you with that is that while this list is very tanky, they don't have a lot of models. It's not very easy for them to actually block off all of your charge options to get to Catacross because they just don't have the material. Each of those units of Necropolis Stalkers is 3 models, and each of those units of Immortus Guard is 3 models. So that's 12 guys, a catapult, a warband, and the leaders. They can't really screen anything.
So spread out and kill their leaders.
Yeah. This list is not particularly mobile. They don't have any horses. They're gonna kind of struggle to get to, especially if you play them on a battle plan with like lots of objectives. It's gonna be tough for them.
Is the Bone Shaper only 6 wounds? Yeah, so you might be able to he's 5, so you might be able to just spike an unbind roll and wipe out the Bone Shaper right away.
That's
no, he has Dark Acolyte, huh?
Yes, he has Dark Acolytes. So that's the problem, is that the only wizard in this list can't be unbound.
Yeah, you're gonna unbind them.
But he only has 1 unbind for dealing with you, which means that Nasty Hex is gonna do actually a good amount of work for you. Except he's Null Myriad, so you can try it. It's worth. It might be worth trying.
Okay.
Make him roll.
How about this other list?
This list looks very silly. It looks fun. 5 units of mid Necropolis Stalkers, so 15 Stalkers. They have a pretty high wounds characteristic, so each time the model dies, they get to roll a bunch of dice for Crematorians. They basically do the Stormcast thing where they do mortal wounds when they die by exploding in fire.
Cool.
And then they have Archon the Black, Bone Shaper without the Artisan's Key, so just a single reanimation there. And then the Os Effector is the general. Aura of Sterility is not annoying for you, because that only affects shooting. The Gothazar Cartouche is +1 to wound in melee in a bubble. So they're going to be a bubble, kind of like fighting castle, but they're just going to use. They don't have screens proper, so they're just going to have redundant units of Necropolis Stalkers kind of staggered.
So I'm hearing stall, stall, stall.
Yeah,
right?
they're
Stall,
slow.
stall,
They're
stall,
Go out
and
take
then
objectives.
yeah, take objectives. Well, the idea was a minimum amount of unpacking to secure a 5-point turn.
Yeah,
Right?
That's
So
that's a
it's-
good
yeah.
for the and for this army, you're going to be able, especially with your teleport, you're going to be able to really outmove them.
Yeah, stall, 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 and then teleport behind them and get them.
Yeah, or just teleport onto an objective in a corner super far away where you can't reach them, walk over there for 2 turns.
Right.
You know, but any kind of positive mobility you can get towards like scoring 5 points without actually fighting them in the early turns, awesome.
Yeah, awesome. Okay, that's easy.
Yeah.
And then last one.
Other Null Myriad list: Archon Catacross, Bone Shaper with Artisan's Key, and Dark Acolyte. Yep, that's the normal thing. 6 Immortus Guard, 3 Immortus Guard, 2x5 Death Riders.
Yeah.
This is a good list.
Yep. So
Um,
the Death Riders, if you're not familiar, they get the 6-inch. I'm pretty sure it's just their war scroll, right? Where they get the 6-inch pylon when they charge, and they do
Yeah.
mortal wounds.
Yep.
And 6-inch pylons are really good at sneaking through place gaps in your lines.
Yep.
So if they're gonna charge into you, like just be conscientious about how you're screening, because they will wrap around and just bonk your wizards.
so
They're also deceptively fast because they have a command in the movement phase that lets them get plus 3 inches to their movement characteristic. So they can really fly across the map and hit stuff.
Okay. Good
But
to
their
know.
light on bodies, same thing. Like
Yeah, same thing though. Light on bodies, kill the heroes.
So same battle plan overall. Just watch out for the pile in.
Yep.
Okay.
Catacross is pretty fighty in melee, but he can't use his really good command ability if he's in melee.
Right.
Oh, don't worry. I'll just delete him with a Maw Crusher. It's fine.
Yep, there you go.
And Archon will offer you Gobsprack targets
Mhm.
because he's a wizard who doesn't have Dark Acolyte, so you can actually unbind his stuff.
And you want to unbind Curse of Years if he tries to cast it.
You want to unbind everything Archon does because it has plus range.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. He has a spell that can shut down teleports. That's really good to know when you're playing against Archon.
So try and stand on objectives better than he does.
Yeah.
Stand on objectives better than him. Yeah, I mean, teleporting 5 brutes onto an objective in a corner is always a good move, I feel.
Yeah.
Doesn't hurt.
Yeah, you're not gonna outgrind them, and you might lift some units and maybe get some lucky Wargog things, but you're gonna beat them by trying to be better at standing objectives than they are.
Right.
Yes.
5-point turns.
Exactly.
Okay, awesome. Well, I appreciate your time, guys. Thanks for coming to help me out with this.
Yeah, happy to help.
That was a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
So that's it. Thanks again to Leonard and Blaed for coming by. Still learning the game, still trying to get better. Big problem for me right now is not knowing what other armies do. But I feel like after I get my butt stomped to this GT this weekend, I'll have a better idea. My goal going into this GT, because it's my first one, is to win 2 games, lose 3 games, and learn a lot and have a good time. Even if I don't win any games, like it's still going to be quite the experience. I'm looking forward to it. I used to play competitive Magic, so I kind of get the the competitive atmosphere and all that. So I really enjoy it. Should be a lot of fun. Like, subscribe, wah.